Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Association Leadership Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Association Leadership Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today on the show, we have Scott Herceg with Northern Edge Consulting. Welcome.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am excited to learn what you're up to. You have a lot of history in working with associations and nonprofits, and now you've got this consulting firm. So tell us a little bit about Northern Edge. How are you serving folks?
Well, Northern Edge Consulting started out as kind of a dream of mine. I had been running nonprofit and associations and membership organizations for almost 20 years. And I just kind of wanted to go out on my own and try and help people, which sounds like a real cheesy way to get started, perhaps, but it's very genuine. I found over my career that a lot of boards and a lot of professionals have the same issues over and over. And as I was talking to different colleagues, it was the same story over and over. They had issues on their board, or they didn't know how to do something as staff or whatever. And I had a lot of those answers, and I was giving a lot of advice on the side. And somebody told me one day, they said, you should really do this, and you should start consulting, and we'd pay you to come talk to us, and so that kind of got the ball rolling for me.
Now, your background is kind of vast. You've worked in a lot of different organizations of different sizes and different kind of niches. Were you finding the same problems? It didn't matter where you would begin your work. You would say, "Oh, here we go again." This is just.
That's exactly right. I started out my career in nonprofit organization, working for the Boy Scouts of America. Actually, I was one of, I think at the time, like 7,000 professional staff that the Boy Scouts had across the country, and I had a little footprint of the country that I was responsible for. But it was the same as any other nonprofit. I had a board of directors, we had money to raise, we had membership to recruit, we had program to deliver. And so that really gave me a real good base to start from. And then I left there and I went back to my home area in northern Michigan and worked for the Harbor Springs Chamber of Commerce. And it was the same thing. Board of directors, we were raising money, we were producing programming, but it was an organization at the time that needed a lot of help. They had some individuals come in that had the greatest of intentions, but didn't have a whole lot of background as to how an association or a nonprofit or membership organization was supposed to run. And so they were going in some wrong directions. And so I was hired to kind of put them back on track. I did that. And then I got a little bit burned out, as happens to a lot of us. And I took a year off and did some other things, and then realized, nope, my heart is really in this line of work, helping boards and budgets and bylaws and members and all that kind of stuff. And so I worked for a local chapter of the Home Builders Association, and that was the same thing. There was some great people involved, but they had gotten some incorrect advice somewhere down the road, and they were having struggles. So we did the same thing, kind of rebuilt that one, got them back on the ground running. And then I ended up working at an absolutely fantastic position after leaving the Home Builders. The Sheboygan Area Chamber of Commerce in Sheboygan, Michigan, called and invited me to come over. And that was the best job that I had yet in my career. They were a good Chamber of Commerce that just needed a little bit of tweaks, and we did that. And man, we took off running, and we were awarded Chamber of the Year for the state of Michigan in 2018, and it was a real huge sense of pride for us, and it let us know we were doing the right thing, and we were doing some really great stuff for the community of Sheboygan.
Now, when did you kind of start writing down all these, I guess the framework that you built, these 5 M's of association management and nonprofit administration? When did that kind of start solidifying where you're like, okay, I am seeing similar things. Let me codify some of this stuff. Let me get it down in a document that I can share, and then I can maybe use for marketing for myself and implement these things. Not only can I share the wisdom, I can actually help them execute in some of these areas.
Sure. Well, and like you said, kind of in your introduction of me, I'd been around to a lot of different places and had a lot of different experiences, and the same things kept happening over and over. And also the same focuses were necessary every place that I was at. Every place needed to raise money or understand their budget or have a healthy financial situation. Every place needed to have members. They needed to have people as part of their organization. Every place had to tell a story. So they were doing their own marketing, and they had great stories to tell. And some places knew how to tell those better than others. They all had volunteers that were either running the organization or an integral part of the organization, or volunteers that they needed to get in to further the organization. And then every single one of them had a mission, a reason for being. And so as I was going through my career, it probably started a little bit in the Boy Scouts. But as I was going, there were really 5 words that kind of kept coming up. So I started to kind of compile these together, and I was talking with friends and colleagues and mentors and things, and kind of polishing these things over the years. So I eventually came up with this framework for management success of nonprofit organizations and associations. And I've called it the 5 M's, the 5 M's of nonprofit administration and association management. And these are pretty much universal as far as at least my experience in any organization. So mission, what is the organization's mission? What's its reason for existence? Money, obviously. Are they being good stewards of the money that they're given? That's a key point. All of our organizations, whether it's a pure nonprofit or whether it's an association or whatever it is, we are all given money by other people to do something good with. So are we being good stewards with that money? Membership, obviously, we've got to have members, especially in the association side of nonprofits. We got to have members believing in what we're doing or being a part of what we're doing to move forward. And then you have manpower. Now, manpower can be kind of a tricky word. It's an M, so it follows the pattern. But certainly, manpower does not just mean men. Manpower means having the right people in the right positions, doing the right jobs for the right reasons, for the right mission of the organization. And then you have marketing at the end, telling the story. So mission, money, membership, manpower, marketing. You put those all together, and as long as you are an organization that is focusing on those 5 things, you are going to accomplish what you need to accomplish for your membership.
Now, in your experience, what are some symptoms of an association or a nonprofit that maybe are signals that things aren't running optimally, that there's maybe a hole in their swing in one of those areas?
Yep. Well, and really, the 2 real easy indicators are the money and membership. If you have declining membership, essentially, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you have declining membership, then there's something wrong. That should trigger that, hey, we need to do something different. We need to survey our people. Are we doing what they want us to do? I don't know. You better go find out. Money. If you're bleeding money, or not monitoring it, if your board can't read your financials, if your staff, if your executive director doesn't exactly know where all the monies are, that's a problem. Those are the two quick and easy ones that anybody can notice, but really anywhere in those five, you can have problems. On the manpower side of things, if you don't work your nominating committee process correctly, you could end up with some leadership in your organization that takes you in a direction that you should not be going. That's a problem. And mission, there's mission creep, especially in the Chamber of Commerce world. Chambers of Commerce get asked to do all kinds of stuff that may or may not be what they're supposed to be doing. And so you have mission creep of, well, we did this, and so now we're being asked to do this, and now we're being asked to do this, and every step gets you farther away from what you're really supposed to be doing. That's a problem for organizations as well.
Now, the work that you're doing when a group calls you and maybe asks for help, are you doing kind of consulting where you're going in there, rolling up your sleeves and helping them solve that given problem? Are you just training people? Are you just giving them information for them to execute? Like, what's typically your role when you're engaging with one of these groups?
It's actually been a mix. I have an appointment this evening to talk with an organization that potentially is interested in bringing me on as an interim executive director. I could do that. Just yesterday, I was doing a strategic planning session with an organization here in the area, and we spent all day, setting goals and targets and things based on the 5 M's. On this coming Thursday, and actually for last several Thursdays and a couple Thursdays yet to come, I'm teaching a class at North Central Michigan College, and it's all about association management and nonprofit 101. And so we're teaching, and in that class there's board members, there's staff people, involved with different organizations around the area. So it's really a mix. There's another organization that I just helped them rewrite their bylaws. Associations and nonprofits need all kinds of different help, and so if I can help them with one of those things or a couple of those things, hopefully that'll get them on a good path.
Now, part of the mission of this show is to educate and inspire those emerging leaders, those aspiring leaders. What advice would you give a young person who maybe hasn't leaned into leadership at an association? A lot of folks, especially young people, know the importance of being part of an association, but they may not understand, how to get involved or why they should take on leadership roles within the association. Can you talk to that a little bit and maybe based on your career, share how that's impacted your life and career by being involved with associations and leadership?
Absolutely. And when you say leadership, I mean, you could be talking about volunteer leadership, getting on a board or on a committee or something. You could be talking about having a staff position, being hired on and getting paid to do all this. And it's the same baseline in both places. Being involved in a nonprofit organization or an association, you have an opportunity to positively affect the world around you. You have an opportunity to make a difference. And what young person, no matter what generation they grew up in, does not want to make a difference? Every young person wants to make a difference. And nonprofits, associations are a great way to do that. on the volunteer side of things, we are smack dab in the middle of a huge generational shift. The baby boomers generation are aging out, let's say. Gen X, what I'm part of, we're trying to come into some of those old baby boomer roles. We've got the millennials that are now coming up through and entering into leadership roles, and then is it Gen Y? I lose track after that, whatever the next generation is called after that. But there's a real shift in that associations have been dominated by the baby boomer generation for decades. And as they age out, there are gaps and there are places for new people to come in, whatever generation you're in. And to be able to be a part of that, to be able to come in, the work of these organizations must go on because, like I said, they're doing good stuff. If there's nobody to fill those roles, that work is going to get dropped on the side of the road. So, a volunteer position, on a board or in a committee. And one of the things that I teach my clients is, don't have these committee positions for life. That is not attractive to the current generations. If you're on a committee or if you're planning an event or whatever it is, make it a quick strike task force. Have them come in, have them do their thing, have them plan the event or the project or the program or whatever, and then move on and get on with the rest of their lives. That's going to be a lot more attractive to the upcoming generations than to put them on the finance committee for the next 20 years or whatever it is. But so important for upcoming generations to get involved, because if they don't, a lot of the good work of these organizations is not going to be able to get done.
Now, in your work, is there a story that you can share that has been the most rewarding, where you came in with a challenge, maybe share whatever that challenge was, and were able to really make an impact and make a difference? Obviously, don't name the name of the association, but maybe just talk generally in terms of they came in with this was an issue, this was a challenge, and then, we were able to kind of get in there and help them get to a new level.
Sure. Well, and actually, I'm thinking that the organization that I was just with yesterday doing their strategic planning, they're not done yet, and my work with them is not done yet, but I'm thinking that is looking like it could be a really good transition and could get them on some really good footing. They're a local organization that has been around for 40 years, and they've had a board of directors, and they have a specific program that they offer. And they had fallen into the trap of every year at their annual meeting, they put out a call, okay, who wants to be on the board? And that has caused them some stress because over the years, you had some board members that came on for the best of intentions, but maybe didn't understand what their role was, or the board wasn't properly trained or onboarded or orientated when they came on. And so you've got some personal agendas and things that kind of rose to the top. And so they were in trouble. They had board members that were resigning. They had programming that was starting to suffer. And so I had met their executive director through another means, and she asked me to come in, and I went in and did a training session with them a few months ago. And the aha moments that were happening are in that boardroom of, oh my gosh, we're supposed to be doing that. Oh, we never knew we were supposed to be doing that. Oh, we're not supposed to be doing that. Oh no, it was those kind of things. And so all of a sudden you saw this shift in them going, holy smokes, we need to really buckle down and learn this stuff and figure this out. So then yesterday when I was with them doing their strategic planning, it was as we were walking through, breaking down their year before and then visioning what they wanted to see in the future for the organization, and then actually setting the goals that were going to get them there. It was fascinating. It was fun. It was exciting to watch them start to coalesce properly as a board. The president was starting to really function in his role, and the executive director was starting to function in her role, and the board members were all saying, well, if we do this and we do that, we accomplish this. And then I said, okay, now you guys have got to do this as a team. This can't just be great ideas and then dump it on the executive director. And every single board member goes, yes, absolutely. We got to do it. We're a team. We're ready to go. That was not an attitude that I saw in that organization 3-4 months ago when I did the training. So they've got some work to do yet, but I'm excited. I think they're on a really good path, and I think they set some really good goals yesterday. And I'm interested to see how they do going forward. And I'm thinking that might be a really good success story in the making.
Yeah, once they see something, it's hard to unsee it, and the light bulb goes off, and now the work begins. So, congratulations! That's a really important story that you shared. That's so critical for folks out there to understand that a lot of times these people are just doing what was done, and they're not doing anything malicious or on purpose. Right. They just didn't know there's other ways, and then once they learn, then the sky's the limit.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, if somebody wants to learn more about your practice and maybe get on your calendar to help them through a challenge, what's the website?
Sure. It's real easy. It's northernedgeconsulting.com. And you get on there, and there's a couple of testimonials from some organizations that I've helped in the past. There's some information on the 5 M's. Phone numbers obviously on there, emails on there. Give me a shout. Let's chat. Let's see if we can help you get on track.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, Lee. I appreciate the time and the program.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Association Leadership Radio.